in California. You're on with
Jordan.
Jarek
Actually
and
helped us test the phone lines.
Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Wow, it was so great hearing from Frood.
Yeah.
This is very nerve-wracking. I'm just going to get that out the way. You guys are the first ACA show I've called into because you guys are just two of the sweetest boys I've ever seen on the internet. So, and you just remind me of my friends back at home. Well, here at home. So,
Yeah.
Good. I love that. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that you have good friends. So,
well, the idea is we can change that view.
Yeah.
You know, being a good person, we can change that stereotypical view of an atheist and go, you know what? No, we are good people. We can be good people. We can be good neighbors and good friends.
The way you said that sounded like, oh, you view us as good people. We can change that view.
Oh,
and I was like,
you're right. I wasn't even thinking.
Usually I make the jokes. No, yeah. I mean, really, it's, you know, when the atheist movement started, it was, you had to shout to be heard, and now people know that atheists exist, and it's like, yeah, also, we're humans. So what did you want to talk about today, Jordan?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about, the overarching theme of what I wanted to talk about is I'm part of unlike many other atheists, I'm part of a religious family. I'm probably one of the more well-known atheists within my family, if not the only one that I know of. And we've had two fairly tragic events happen within our family. And and at the beginning of those events, it's been all like, oh, God will like pull us out, or like he'll save us or protect us. And then whenever any good news happens out of it, it is like, oh, give all glory to him who answers prayers and all that fun stuff. Yeah. And it's just one of those situations where like, it feels weird to be in those group texts and be the only one who's not saying that. Yeah. And it's also really weird to like view these situations and for them to like give credit when the small good news comes out, but then when the tragedy happens, like my dog got bit like a few months ago, and that was fine, but that became a flesh-eating bacteria. So a $700 vet bill, which I was okay with, became $5K. Oh, I'm like, okay. But after all that happened, and I find a vet who really likes my breed of dog, and so she was doing some things for free. My parents are like, oh, well, that's an answered prayer and all that. It was like, wait, why would that be an answered prayer? But why would then God allow my dog to get bit in the first place and me get stuck with this huge vet bill? Like, how does that follow? And then the one that happened actually this year, at the very beginning of this year, my niece, she was a victim of celebratory gunfire where a bullet fell onto her head. Oh, and like, she's recovering in the hospital. And yeah, it was extremely scary. And every text that I got from her parents was like, I was scared to read them. Like, thankfully, they've all been good news, and she's been recovering very well. But even when she's like started walking again and started eating with both hands, and people are like, oh, thank God for all good things come through. I'm like, but you let her get hit on the head with a bullet. Like, why? Like, I want to like talk to them about this and be like, this doesn't make any sense, but I also don't want to be disrespectful because that is my niece, and it's the niece that, like, whenever I'm over, she's just on me the whole time. Like, she has a huge liking to me. So seeing her in the hospital, like, I couldn't be there for too long. Yeah. But yeah, my big thing is like, how do you like approach those situations respectfully?
So I think there's a couple ways of doing that. Mostly I would ask, how open to these kinds of conversations is the rest of your family?
My parents are probably a lost cause, but the mother of my niece, so my eldest sister, she is the sweetest, most genuine person you ever know. All of my atheist and even anti-theist friends absolutely love her, despite the fact that she is a pretty devout Christian, because I think she just accidentally uses street epistemology when talking to people. And I've been watching Anthony Magnabosco's videos, so it reminds me a lot of conversations with her. She is just very genuine and just seeking to understand. And unfortunately, her epistemology has fallen into like the Christian epistemology or wherever. Yeah. So so when talking to her, like, that's probably the one I would want to talk to the most, but she's also the mother of the niece.
Yeah. So
like, I don't want to talk to her right now. That just seems like disingenuous.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that disingenuous is the right word. I think poorly timed might be better. But no, it's fine.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is sort of how much of her time and energy goes into involvement with her church, right? Like, because if she's on 3 different committees for the church and runs the weekly potluck, like, that level of investment affects people's openness to conversations like these. Have you had a conversation with her about God or beliefs before?
Yes. And that's why I say, like, she's, like, extremely open to hearing me. Of everyone in my family, she's been the most receptive to me being an atheist and hasn't tried to convert me. She's always just been like, why do you believe what you believe, or why do you not believe, more accurately? And she was the catalyst for me, like, finding out your show and, like, be like, okay, why do I believe this?
Tell her I said thank you.
So, like, I definitely will.
Does she?
So she would be very receptive while she is involved in the church. She's not involved in such a way where I feel like she just won't listen.
Right.
She is one to update her views when I'm like, hey, the way you're coming to this conclusion is wrong, your understanding is wrong, and she will be like, oh, thank you for pointing that out. I will no longer think that way.
Dang.
Right. Yeah, I think you've picked the right person to talk to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so there's a couple of videos that I would point to that are actually what I think of in these situations. They're less friendly, and so I would say use them for inspiration, perhaps, rather than showing them directly to your sister. But there's one, it's actually, I think, the first video of any ACA show that I ever saw that got me thinking first, which is the analogy that Matt Dillahunty uses of God as a mafia boss, which sort of addresses original sin and salvation. And then it's like episode 723. It's Matt and Tracy. It's the either you have a God that sends child rapists to rape children, or you have a God that says, go ahead, rape that child, but when you're done, I'm going to punish you. If I had the power to stop someone from raping a child, that I would. That's the difference between me and your God.
That was a good mic drop moment.
Yeah, Tracy is really good at those, and I'm really good at remembering them. So it's things like that, and I would just say, particularly because people will shift their beliefs and just be like, well, I mean, God doesn't really get involved that much. Is it one way that people go when they have like a greater understanding that no, natural science can explain the movement of the planets and why hurricanes happen, etc. But if your sister still believes, oh, there's a God that's intimately involved in people's lives and directs the outcomes of events and makes sure that there's a vet that likes your breed of dog and is, whose heart is softened so that they'll do some of the vet work for free so that you can more easily treat the flesh-eating bacteria of your dog, miracle, then pointing out, well, actually, my dog was bitten and that didn't have to happen. There's a flesh-eating bacteria that my dog has that didn't have to happen, and that flesh-eating bacteria didn't have to exist. So, yeah. It'd be sort of like characters in Game of Thrones going, oh, George R.R. Martin, the author of all our stories, he's so kind and loving to us all. He's never put us through anything we couldn't bear. And it's like, actually, every other chapter, one of you dies. So, but I would say basically...
I've approached that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, basically, the problem of evil, it doesn't have a satisfactory, answer to anyone with a kind heart.
And that's a really, that's a good point, but it's also been, I've brought up something similar with not my sister, but with some like other people in my family, and they will immediately just be like, oh, well, that's because we have free will, or it's because of the original sin that brought all this bad stuff into the universe and such.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like,
go ahead. I guess where I would go is, number one, it really sucks that you're going through all of that, man.
Yeah.
But the fact that you are, I know it's something that I said in church a lot, but I cannot think of a better word than saying that you are showing grace. You are.
Showing grace.
Well, I mean, the thing is you are being patient, kind, and understanding, even when other people aren't being that. You know, you're being understanding of other people's emotions, even when that is difficult. And the fact is, when you're talking to family members, when you're talking to people like that, especially people who are developing in, you know, beneficial ways or helping people get to a place where they can start questioning the world around them as well, it takes a lot of time. There are very few people on this earth that you can have a direct discussion about the problem of evil or about epistemology and change their minds completely in a conversation. You know, so if this is a process that takes years, then, you know, just remember that, you know, this isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. And in times like this, showing that you care, you know, and being that good person, you know, taking times, just like your examples, which are freaking amazing, when you say, hey, you know, that's really awesome that you asked that question. When you reward that kind of action, that kind of questioning, and say, you know what, that's a great question. I don't know either. Let's look it up together. Or any chances that you get to, you know, do that, then eventually over time, they may feel more comfortable saying, I don't know, or let's look it up, or anything like that. And it just takes time and modeling. And
I see.
As far as right now, you know, it's funny. I wish that I had access to the kind of community that we've been trying to create when I was more. And I know that there will be more mourning in my life, and I'm very, very glad that I have groups like our Facebook groups and places like our Discord and Reddit, and it's just really nice. If you haven't availed yourself of those resources, please do, because finding other people that you can talk to and just kind of decompressing is important. You know, taking care of yourself is important too. And so check it out. We've got some really amazing people.
Excellent. Okay. Where do I find the links for something like your Discord and such? Is that on the website?
You know what? I'm going to ask our producer, Mark, to put the open link to our Discord in the description for this episode. And if you go into the live chat, I know that one of the admins for our Discord is there. And so we'll see if we can get a link. I don't know if our live chat might not allow it, but yeah, we'll point you in the right direction, my friend. Go into the Facebook. We'll get you there as well. So,
okay. Thank you very much, Jamie and Eric.
Thank you, Jordan.
You take care, brother. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thank you.